All right, today we're going to tackle one of the most important services in all of cloud computing, Amazon EC2. Seriously, this thing is the engine that powers a huge chunk of the internet, and we're going to break down exactly how it all works.
So, have you ever been in this situation? You're working on something big. Maybe you're crunching a massive dataset, rendering a complex 3D model, or building a new app, and your own computer just hits a wall. It just can't keep up. You need more juice, but buying new hardware, that's expensive and it takes forever.
Well, what if you could just rent a supercomputer, or a whole fleet of them, right over the internet, instantly? And get this, what if you only had to pay for the exact time you were using it, down to the second? I mean, think about that. That's the powerful idea behind one of Amazon's biggest cloud services.
And that service is called Amazon EC2. It stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. The name really tells you everything you need to know. It gives you elastic, meaning resizable, computing power in the cloud. And it does this using what we call virtual computers, or what Amazon calls instances.
Okay, so let's really dig into this whole idea. Why is renting a computer in the cloud such a complete game changer?
Oh, the benefits are just huge. For starters, you save a ton of money because you're not buying expensive physical servers that just sit there collecting dust and losing value. And it is incredibly scalable. Let's say your website suddenly goes viral. You can spin up more computers in minutes to handle the traffic, and when things quiet down, you just shut them off. That pay-as-you-go model makes it so efficient to run pretty much anything you can think of.
But here's the really cool part. This isn't some one-size-fits-all deal. Nope, the real power of EC2 is that you get to build your virtual machine exactly the way you want it.
So, when you go to rent this computer, what choices do you actually get to make? The best way to think about it is like you're building a custom PC from scratch, but instead of ordering parts online, you're just clicking a few buttons in your web browser.
You literally get to pick the whole shebang. You start with the core stuff, right? How much CPU power do you need? How much RAM? Then you pick your operating system. You can go with Linux, Windows, even Mac OS. Then you choose your storage, your network speed, and, maybe most importantly, your virtual firewall, which is called the security group. That thing controls exactly who and what is allowed to talk to your machine.
Now this next choice, it's a big one. Storage. You've basically got two main options here. The first is called EBS, or Elastic Block Store. Think of this like your computer's main hard drive. If you stop your virtual machine, all your data is safe and sound right where you left it. The other option is called Instant Store. This is temporary, but it's blazing fast. The catch is, it's like RAM. If you stop or terminate that instance, any data on it is gone. Poof, forever. So you really have to know what you're doing and choose the right one for the job.
Now, if building a computer from scratch sounds like a lot of work, don't worry. AWS also has these pre-configured models, or instance types, that are already optimized for different tasks. It's kind of like walking into a computer showroom and just picking the one you like. So, you've got these main families of instances. General-purpose ones are fantastic all-arounders, perfect for things like web servers. Compute-optimized instances have really powerful CPUs, so they're great for things like online gaming servers. Memory-optimized instances are just packed with RAM for running huge databases. And storage-optimized instances, they're built for lightning-fast access to massive amounts of data. You just pick the family that fits your workload. Simple as that.
And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about here, it is absolutely immense. The difference between the smallest and the biggest computers you can rent is just staggering.
So for example, you can start with something called a T2.micro instance. It's actually part of the AWS free tier, so you can play around with it for free. It comes with a solid 1 GB of RAM, which is perfect for learning the ropes or maybe running a small personal website. But then, you can jump all the way to the other end of the spectrum and rent a memory-optimized R5 instance that has over 500 gigabytes of RAM. Let that sink in. That's more than half a terabyte of memory in a single virtual machine that you can spin up whenever you want. The range is just unbelievable.
Okay, so you've got all this incredible power at your fingertips. The big question is, how do you pay for it all? Well, AWS has some really smart pricing models to make sure it's always cost-effective.
There are really three main ways to pay. First up is on-demand. It's the most flexible. You pay by the second, there's zero commitment, and it's perfect for spiky, unpredictable workloads. Next, if you have a steady, predictable workload, you can use reserved instances. You commit to using a machine for 1 or 3 years, and in return, you get a massive discount. And finally, you've got spot instances. This is where you bid on Amazon's spare unused computers for up to a 90% discount. It's an incredible deal, but there's a catch. Amazon can take that computer back with very little notice, so it's best for jobs that can be paused and picked up later.
All right, that was a whirlwind tour, right? So let's slow down for a second and just nail down the absolute essentials you need to walk away with.
You know, this quote really hits the nail on the head. EC2 isn't just another service. It's the absolute foundation of what we call infrastructure as a service. If you can understand how to rent and configure these virtual machines, you've really unlocked the core power of the cloud.
And to wrap it up, here's your quick cheat sheet. 4 key terms you're going to hear all the time. First, an AMI. That's just a blueprint or template for your computer. It has the OS and any software you want pre-installed. We already talked about security groups. That's your firewall. An elastic IP is just a permanent static public IP address that won't change even if you restart your machine. And finally, an auto-scaling group. This is the magic that automatically adds or removes computers based on traffic, so your app is always fast without you wasting any money.
And that really is the core of it. EC2 basically gives you the power of a colossal data center, right at your fingertips, ready to go in an instant. So the only question left is, with basically infinite computers available on demand, what would you build?